When we think of long-lived animals, we often imagine tortoises or whales, but there is a silent predator in the freezing depths of the North Atlantic that makes them look like infants. The Greenland shark grows only about 1 centimeter per year, moving through the dark water with such extreme slowness that its heart beats only a few times a minute. By measuring the carbon levels in their eyes, scientists discovered that some of these sharks have been swimming since the early 1600s, meaning there are individuals alive today that were already adults when the Taj Mahal was being built. They survive by existing in a state of near-permanent slow motion, their bodies perfectly adapted to the crushing cold and the passage of centuries. It is a staggering realization that while human empires rise, fall, and turn to dust, a single creature can remain steadily on its path, quietly witnessing the history of our world from the deep. We tend to think of humans as the undisputed masters of the Earth's surface, but if you were to gather every single person on the planet and place them on a giant scale, we would be outweighed by the humble ant. There are an estimated 20 quadrillion ants crawling across every continent except Antarctica, forming a global biomass that exceeds that of all wild birds and mammals combined. These tiny insects have built underground megacities that span thousands of miles, featuring complex air conditioning, specialized farming chambers, and highly organized waste disposal systems. While we see them as minor pests, they are actually the primary engineers of our soil, moving more earth than all our construction equipment. It is a humbling shift in perspective to realize that we are just guests on a planet that is, by every biological measure, a kingdom ruled by a tiny, tireless civilization. In a world where most creatures use bright colors to warn predators or hide in the shadows, one tiny insect has mastered the art of being completely invisible. The Greta Otto, better known as the glasswing butterfly, possesses wings that are almost entirely transparent, looking like delicate panes of glass framed in dark silk. Unlike regular butterfly wings that reflect light using microscopic scales, the glasswing's tissue is covered in tiny, nanopillar structures that allow light to pass straight through without any glare. This engineering marvel makes the butterfly nearly impossible for birds to track while it is in flight, as it effectively disappears against any background. It shows us that sometimes the most effective way to survive a dangerous environment isn't to be the strongest or the loudest, but to be the one who lets the world shine right through them. If you could take all the blood vessels from a single human child and lay them out in a straight line, they would stretch for over 60,000 miles, enough to circle the entire Earth twice. By the time that child reaches adulthood, that internal highway grows to nearly 100,000 miles long, all packed with incredible precision inside a body only a few feet tall. This massive network of capillaries, veins, and arteries ensures that every single one of your 37 trillion cells is never more than a hair's width away from a fresh supply of oxygen. Your heart pumps blood through this vast, intricate labyrinth every minute of every day without you ever having to think about it. It reveals that the most complex and expansive infrastructure ever created isn't a city or a digital network, but the silent, pulsing map that exists inside of you right now. We tend to think of the ground beneath us as a solid, unmoving foundation, but on the frozen slopes of Mount Erebus in Antarctica, the Earth is covered in giant hollow towers that actually exhale. These ice fumaroles are tall chimneys formed over thousands of years as volcanic steam rises through cracks in the rock and freezes instantly upon hitting the polar air. Inside these blue-tinted ice caves, a strange, warm microclimate exists that is completely different from the blizzard-ravaged surface just inches away. Because the volcano is constantly venting heat, the towers appear to breathe out rhythmic plumes of mist into the sub-zero sky, creating a landscape that looks more like a sci-fi alien colony than a part of our own planet. It serves as a beautiful reminder that even in the most inhospitable, frozen corners of the world, the Earth's inner fire is always working to create a pocket of warmth and wonder. It sounds alarming to think the moon is drifting away. The moon has always been there, unchanged in our sky, but measurements show it moves about a few centimeters farther from Earth each year. The strange truth is that this happens because of gravitational interactions between Earth's oceans and the Moon. Over millions of years, this slow motion adds up. The realization is that even celestial relationships are not permanent. The lesson is that change can be gentle, steady, and almost invisible. The universe evolves quietly, one small step at a time. For decades, biologists believed that all life on Earth relied on organic matter to survive, until they discovered a tiny organism that prefers a diet of pure electricity and solid rock. Deep in the dark corners of mines and on the floor of the Pacific Ocean lives a bacterium called Shewanella, which has the incredible ability to breathe minerals instead of oxygen. These microbes grow tiny, conductive wires from their bodies, essentially biological power lines, which they use to discharge electrons directly onto rocks and metals to stay alive. By plugging themselves into the Earth, they create a living electrical grid that functions completely independently of the sun or the atmosphere. This discovery has forced us to redefine what life is capable of, suggesting that if we ever find life on other planets, it might not be breathing air, but literally drawing its pulse from the heart of the stone itself. While we spend billions of dollars exploring the stars, the most successful survival strategy in history is hidden at the bottom of the freezing, pitch-black ocean. Near hydrothermal vents where no sunlight can reach, entire ecosystems thrive on chemicals erupting from the Earth's crust rather than energy from the sun. Creatures like the giant tube worm have no mouth and no stomach, instead hosting billions of bacteria that turn toxic minerals into life-sustaining food. These organisms have existed in total isolation for millions of years, unaffected by the mass extinctions that wiped out the dinosaurs or shifted the continents above. They represent a shadow biosphere that proves life doesn't need a hospitable environment to flourish. It only needs a way to adapt to the impossible. We often treat city pigeons as simple birds, but they possess a navigation system so advanced it rivals our most sophisticated satellites. If you took a pigeon, put it in a dark box, and drove it hundreds of miles into completely unfamiliar territory, it would still find its way back to its specific nesting spot with unerring accuracy. This isn't just memory. Pigeons have microscopic particles of magnetite in their beaks that allow them to see the Earth's magnetic field like a built-in compass. They combine this magnetic sense with an ability to hear low-frequency sounds from hundreds of miles away, such as the crashing of ocean waves or the wind over distant mountains. This common bird is actually a master of physics, navigating a world of invisible forces that humans are completely blind to.